One day, God told a man called Philip to go along a certain road that went out of the city of Jerusalem. He didn't tell Philip why, but Philip went anyway. On his way, he came across a very important man in a very, very impressive-looking chariot. This man was actually a very powerful person who worked for the Queen of Ethiopia and looked after money. As he was travelling back home, he was reading from the Bible in his chariot. Philip, who was a bit further away from the Ethiopian's chariot, heard God say, "Go up to that chariot and stay near it." Now, Philip was maybe a pretty good runner, but he had to run really fast to catch up to the chariot. No, he had to run really, really fast. Once he got there, he managed to ask through his gasping, "Do you understand what you're reading?" Startled at Philip's sudden appearance, the Ethiopian cried, "How can I unless someone explains it to me? Would you like to come up here and help me?" You see, the Ethiopian was really struggling to understand the bit of the Bible he was reading. Do you ever struggle to understand what the Bible means? That's okay. There are some bits of the Bible that I don't get. There are some things in the Bible that nobody gets, but that we'll only understand in heaven. But when you don't understand, be like the Ethiopian who asked Philip for help to understand it. It's great to ask questions about the Bible. The passage of the Bible the Ethiopian was reading from was from the prophet Isaiah, and it said, "He was led like a sheep to the slaughter, and as a lamb before its shearer is silent, so he did not open his mouth. In his humiliation he was deprived of justice. Who can speak of his descendants? For his life was taken from the earth." "But who's the prophet talking about here? Himself or someone else?" asked the Ethiopian. And so Philip began to explain that Isaiah had been writing about Jesus, who died on the cross to forgive us for everything we do wrong and become friends with God. And as Philip kept talking, the Ethiopian's face became more amazed and more excited because he realized that Jesus did this for him too. As the chariot turned the next corner, the Ethiopian spotted a pool of water. "Look," he exclaimed, pointing to the pool. "Here's some water. If Jesus died for me, what's to stop me being baptized right here, right now? Stop the chariot!" So the chariot came to a stop, and Philip baptized him in that pool. And to think that just a few minutes ago, the Ethiopian couldn't make sense of the passage he was reading. In this story, God provided Philip so that he could understand. In our lives today, God still provides things for us so that we can understand the Bible. God's best gift of all is the Holy Spirit, who helps us to understand as we read. But you also have your Sunday club teachers, maybe your mum and dad, maybe you've got some books that explain it. If you have questions, ask them until you get answers that make sense. After Philip had baptized the Ethiopian, and as they started walking back up to the chariot, all of a sudden, God whisked Philip away. The Ethiopian looked round, wondering what could have happened to him. In fact, the Ethiopian never saw Philip again, but the happy ending is that he went on his way full of joy because he found the answers in the Bible that Jesus had died for him so that he could become friends with God.